Okay, so good evening and welcome to this Tuesday night class in an intimate group tonight, which is also very appreciable. And I would like to dedicate that class tonight for the Refuah Shelema of Inon Shalom Ben Sarah,
Amen.
a soldier who is the son of a person who is a very active person on Torah Box. Coach Sarah, her name is Sarah Tayeb. Really, her Coach Sarah is her coach name, professional name. May Kadosh Baruch Hu make that process of coming out of the coma work well and fast, Bezrat Hashem, and that he should be perfectly fine when he wakes up, Bezrat Hashem. For all the other soldiers who need tefillot, and the protection of our soldiers, the freedom and the redemption of all our hostages, and the Refuah Shelema of some of our dear friends who are here. The husband of one of my friends, whose name is Yosef Ishai Ben Daniel Miriam. He should have a Refuah Shelema Bekarov, Bezrat Hashem, as well as the brother of one of my friends, Yirmiyahu Ben Devorah. He should also have a Refuah Shelema Bekarov, and Tal Yaakov Ben Sarah, Shira Yafa Bat Sarah. Of course.
Chaya Dorit Bat Patricia.
Chaya Dorit Bat Patricia. Jacqueline Bat Aziza. C'est ça? Hannah Bat Jacqueline.
Denise Dina Bat Fortuné.
Denise Dina Bat Fortuné.
Et Tamar Violette Bat Rachel.
Tamar Violette Bat Rachel. Shimon Ben Tamar Violette.
David Eliaou Ben Myriam.
David Eliaou Ben Myriam.
Et le petit
Raphaël Chaimir Ben Sima Chacha.
Soldiers now that is badly injured. Ouais. He done something.
Do you have anyone you want to say? We can also have them in mind, and even if it comes after, we include them. We have the intention to include them in the dedication for this class. And also one of my good friends from Paris who needs a miracle, Bezrat Hashem. Her name is Jessie Hannah Bat Patricia. Amen. Bezrat Hashem. And Idan Ben Amidi. Idan Amidi Ben. Sarah Imeno. Okay. Okay, so we're going to read some Tehillim. Anybody wants to read? Yeah, no, you're fine.
Which page?
So maybe you don't have them. If you want, it's Tehillim Chaf.
Okay. Okay. למנסח מזמור לדוד, יענך השם ביום צרה.
Ado.
יענך אדוני ביום צרה, ישתבח שם אלוקי יעקב, אלוהי יעבור ישלח עזרך מקודש ומציון שדך, יזכור כל משפטך ועונתך יגשם סלח, יצא מרחק לבבך וכל עצתך ימלא, נרננה בישועתך ובשם אלוהים יגדול, ימלא אדוני כל משאלותיך, אתה ידעתי כי יושיע אדוני משפו יענהו משמי קודשו בגבורות ישר ימינו, אלה ברכב ואלה בסוסים ואנחנו בשם אדוני אלוהינו נזכיר, המה קבעו ונפלנו ואנחנו קמנו ונתעודד, אדוני מושיע מלך ימינו ביום פורנו.
Thank you very much. Kuf Chaf Aleph. Anybody wants? You want?
Shalom Aleichem, Yahweh, Ezrin, Nice, Shalom, the Basil, the Mother of Barilech, and Shomerech. In Elohim, Elohisha, Shomer Israel, the nation of Recha, Nicecha, Aliyah, Menecha. Iman Hashem, Shloika, Bayat, Balayim, Shmokan, Boresh, Nafshem, Nashmot, Zetcha, Voecha, Meata.
and Yud Lamed, Kuf Lamed. Kuf Lamed, anybody? Magali, Cynthia, Manès, Shira Maalot,
שיר המעלות ממעמקים ירצה מדי, אדוני שמך בקולי תהיה, נעבוז נר כשרות כל כך מדי. אם אדוני תשמור יא אדוני, מי יעמוד? כי ממך סליחה ממנתי והרקיבי כבז התכנסתי, נפשי ולדבר בו, אוכלתי, נפשי אדוני משומעים מהבוקר, שמונים מהבוקר, לאחר ישראל אדוני, כי אדוני אחזת בהרבה עמו פעילות, ואין ישראל מכל עבודת.
Okay, so this week we're going to speak about two parashot. Why? First of all, because there is a continuation in between those two parashot, Vayera and Bo. Second, because we always have to be on time for everything, ahead of time even, like, no, I'm kidding. It's just that next week we have a special evening for Pua, as I mentioned before. And we really want to spread the word on that organization that is taking care of helping families, Jewish families with infertility problems. So we are going to focus on that, and therefore I don't want to miss Bo, and so I'm going to include it in today's shiur. Also because I thought it was very interesting to see that there is a continuation, even though it's part of two parashot, on the 10 Makot. And so we see part of the 10 Makot today, this week, and the rest of the 10 Makot next week. We're going to include them so we understand the process through which, hey, how are you, mon amour? Ça va? Welcome, Muka. Through which Hashem took us out of Egypt. Because the idea this week is to understand how we can get out of our personal Egypt. So, do you want me to go through what's going on in the parasha, or yes? Okay. So this week in the parasha. So last week we were Parashat Shemot, and we were discovering that the Bnei Israel who entered Mitzrayim, Egypt, as royalty almost, since they were right behind, they were coming along with Yosef HaTzadik, Yosef who was the viceroy of Egypt. So they entered with a lot of pride, somebody's not sleeping upstairs, with a lot of pride and with really like a lot of self-esteem. But unfortunately, we learned last week in the Parashat Shemot that a new Pharaoh, so all this generation dies and a new Pharaoh rises, and they all forgot about who was Yosef, what he did for the Egyptian nation and for the entire area, because he really saved, thanks to his interpretation and his strategy of the dream of Pharaoh, he saved the entire region. So they forgot about that, and they thought that there were way too many Bnei Israel in Egypt, and Pharaoh decided to create a strategy to get rid of the Jews, right? How? Not by killing them, but by making them lose their dignity, their self-esteem, and slowly putting them in a state of slavery, right? We have to remember there were 12 children of Israel, of Yaakov, who arrived in Egypt. So the 12 Shvatim, right, the 12 tribes, only one refused to be part of those big construction plans that were the pyramids. Because at first, we have to remember that the Bnei Israel entered willingly. They had the intention to help Egypt be a great nation. You know, that's something that we see even today. We arrive in America and we want to make America great, right? We arrive in France and we want to make France great. We arrive in Morocco and we want to make Morocco great. And I read recently like that the king of Morocco said that they lost their baraka, their bracha, when the Jews left Morocco. Sarah,
I cannot because I cannot sleep.
really? Maybe you had too much sugar, right? Va dire bonjour à Tati Ruth et à Magali, après tu remontes, chérie. So they arrive and willingly that they want to be part of this big project to make the nation great, right? Besides one tribe, which is the tribe of Levi, right? Who is actually the family of Aaron and Moshe and Miriam, right? Who will not be they will not be slaves. That's very interesting to understand that we actually decided to enter that process, and slowly we accepted to be treated without dignity, without human rights, and we enslaved ourselves. Why is it so important to understand? Because this is unfortunately a process that we still have in ourselves. We create our own personal Egypt. Most of the time, we accept a situation and we get used to it and we create what we call our personal Egypt. What is a personal Egypt? A personal Egypt is what keeps us away from becoming who we have the potential to become, right? So, no, I'm sorry, Sarah, mais non, mon amour, tu vas monter maintenant dans ta chambre.
I can't sleep.
Sorry, up, 1 second. I don't even know how to stop the thing on that. So we said it's important to realize that what we call a personal Mitzrayim, or a personal Egypt, is what keeps us away from existing, from realizing our potential, right? And that's what we're going to focus on today. So this is just a little aparté. Let's go back to the parasha, and you have the summary of the parasha here or on your app, on your WhatsApp group. But basically, we see now this week opens up when Moshe has already helped the Ivrim, the Hebrew, by defending them against the soldiers of Pharaoh, right? In last week's parasha, he has flew to Midian, where he met Tzipporah. He got married with Tzipporah, the daughter of the high priest of Midian, whose name is Yitro. We're going to speak about him in a few weeks again. And he also was revealed by Akadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself to him through that burning bush, right? We spoke about that last week. Oh, no, we didn't speak about that with you last week. Sorry. I did it in French online. So anyways, sorry. But he revealed himself through that burning bush, and he told Moshe Rabbeinu, I decided that I chose you to be the leader of and the shepherd for Am Israel, for the Bnei Israel, and you are going to go and speak to Pharaoh. And now we know that Moshe at first didn't believe in himself. He said, listen, I'm sorry, but I'm not very gifted with speaking. I have problems speaking. I don't feel like I'm the right person. Aaron, my brother, he's such a good speaker. Take him instead. And that is also something we do. How many times do we like, oh, no, you know what? Like, I can do that. We diminish ourselves. Like we don't have such a good self-esteem or not enough self-esteem in order to go with our mission. And sometimes that mission knocks at the door several times in our life, and we don't open the door because we feel like, I'm not the right person for that. Knock at somebody else's door. But Akadosh Baruch Hu chose us to achieve that mission. So it's going to knock at our door until we open that door and we do walk into that mission. So Hashem addresses Moshe and says, no, you are the leader. you are going to go and speak with Pharaoh to free the Bnei Israel from Egypt. And don't worry about Aaron. He too will have a very special role. Okay, so don't worry about that. And so he goes back to Egypt. And now we are at the Parasha Vayera, when Akadosh Baruch Hu is going to speak again with Moshe and tells him, now it's your turn. Now you have to go and ask Pharaoh to let my people go, right? You know that song, Let My People Go? Okay, so exactly. So he's going to ask him and he's going to tell him how to proceed. And you can see throughout the Aliyot that Hashem is giving orders to Moshe, also to Aaron. And every time they are going to go and see Pharaoh and speak out for their people. And unfortunately, Pharaoh will not let go, right? What is really interesting is that Akadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe, you're going to go there, and he's going to say no, because I hardened his heart. I made his heart hard, right? So it's funny that he already knows that it's going to be a terrible challenge and that it's going to be no, but don't worry, I will make great miracles and he will have to accept. And we know because we one of the most beautiful chagim of our calendar, Pesach, we spend 2 nights because we live in Chutz La'aretz. Maybe you do only one seder when you celebrate in Israel, but we do 2 nights. And so we tell the story of the 10 Makot, right? And so we know all that. So basically, this is the story that we read during the Haggadah, during the night of Pesach, in the Haggadah during the night of Pesach. So we all know that very well. And this is how he got Pharaoh to finally free Am Yisrael, right? And that's what we're going to see tonight. So we said there is a concept of personal Egypt. And I love a quote from Rabbi Yonatan Sachs, and I put a few quotes down there. So yeah, you have them, because I think like when some Rabbanim comment the parasha, sometimes they give you like a strong sentence that stays with us. So Lord Rabbi Yonatan Sachs said, the Exodus is not just a story about the past, it is a template for the future. And it's very interesting to understand that it is a template. We are giving the keys and a lesson on how to get out of a situation that we are usually blocked, right? One thing that I want to mention is that process is a tough process, the process of change. It's not easy to change. It's actually very difficult. We are beings of habits. It is much more comfortable to be a slave in Egypt than to accept to go out of Egypt. It is much more comfortable to be a long time smoker than to quit smoking. It is much more comfortable to eat junk and have heart disease, God forbid, lo alenu, than to decide to go and exercise every day and eat healthy. It is much more comfortable to be in a complicated relationship rather than to work on oneself, on ourselves, and better the situation. It is always like that, and it has always been. And that's why only 20% of the Bnei Israel came out of Egypt. Only 20%. Now I want to ask a question. In order for that process and for that lesson to work, we have to want it to work. Meaning we have to want to leave the place we come from. We have to want to go out of our comfort zone. Do you want to go out of your comfort zone? Are you ready for that? Sometimes it's not the right time, but going through this type of classes enables you to think, okay, even though right now I don't feel like I'm strong enough to do it, but it's time now. A few months ago, when we were in another parasha, Lech Lecha, we were speaking about leaving the destination in order to go somewhere, wherever Hashem will tell us to go. Now it's about time. It's about time. Like now he gives us another example. It didn't change during Parashat Lech Lecha. Now I give you another opportunity to learn that if you want your life, if you want to be free in your life, okay? It's terrible now when we say free. Free, it reminds me of Free Palestine. I don't know how I don't know why it comes in the mind. Anyways, well, if you want to be free today, and if you want to be able to live a meaningful life, achieve what you're supposed to achieve in this life, and reveal your light and reveal what you're supposed to do, you have to decide for yourself, right? There's nobody else but you who will be able to decide that. So first stage before anything is whoever wants to change should think, do I want to be part of the 80% who never left Egypt? Or do I want to be part of those 20%? And if we are here today and we are Jews today, it's because our ancestors did make that decision. So do we want to dig into our DNA and let it go out or not? Okay. So let's go through. I want to, you know, like when we celebrate Pesach and we do the Seder, there is a very special thing. We are going to dip, how do you call it, the bitter herbs in salty water. We are going to eat some lettuce dipped in maror. We're going to do so many things. What are they? They are symbols, right? We always use a symbolic in order to learn, because we somehow like trick our mind by using the symbols in order to understand the lesson, right? So it's going to be the same thing. We're going to take the 10 plates and we're going to see how the little peril that we have inside of each and every one of us can be beaten up and can be convinced to really let go. Okay, so the first plague is dam, right? Blood. So what does blood symbolizes? It symbolizes a life force, right? Blood is what carries oxygen, nutrients, whatever, like all the life force is in the blood. So we have to realize that we have to think about revitalizing our lives by breaking free from negativity and destructive habits. They are habits that we have that are destructive, that are negative, and that are actually draining our life force, our chayut, right? So first thing, let's think about that. When I say that, what do you think about? Which type of negative patterns can be destructive, for instance, according to you? Any idea? A destructive pattern? No, Rebecca? Don't worry. Which type of destructive pattern can really drain your energy? So it could be, we were speaking about anxiety. Anxiety is one pattern that really drives away, drains your strength. I have what? Worrying, anxiety, being worried, like it drains the life force, right? Why? Because it comes from fear, right? And fear is there for a certain objective. Fear is there, was created by Akadosh Baruch Hu in order for us to survive a danger. If we don't have fear when we see a lion in the savannah, for instance, we're not going to run away because we have that sense of fear, right? This emotion is going to create a reaction in our body, and we are going to create special hormones that are going to activate the heart, right? The heart is going to pump faster, right? We're going to have all the blood that is going to go in the members of our body that are here to either fight or run away, okay? Because these are the two options that we probably have. There's another option that is to pretend to be dead, but usually like we don't have that. But some people are petrified by fear. And in that case, like they can't move, okay? But most of the people will either run or fight, right? So therefore, the heart beats very fast in order to bring the energy and the life force to your arms and to your legs, right? Someone who is suffering from anxiety, panic attack, what happens to her? She feels that she is living a real danger right now at that second. So what happens? Her body reacts the same way. So what happens? The energy, the huge amount of energy is developed in order to survive that danger. And the brain doesn't make a difference whether it is a real danger or it is just a thought that brought me to a state of fear, right? Because nothing happened yet, but I'm afraid already of what if, right? And a person who suffers from panic attack, she is living that fear, and her body is producing, and it drains away her life force, her chayut, right? That's a damaging pattern, right? That's one that I have a lot of clients who come to me wanting to work on a panic attack and anxiety. And this is definitely one thing that tires them, that takes away their strength. They're exhausted after going through a panic attack. You don't have any strength. You're like, oh, you did a marathon. And literally, you did a marathon. Your body went through a marathon. It ran very, very fast. And the energy was boosting inside of you.
Like it ran without running.
Exactly. So it's really, really draining. This is one example. Could be something else. People, for instance, like who tend to be angry, okay? They tend to be angry. They're going to be nervous. They overreact to a situation, right? Or people who see things negatively. Whatever happens to them, again, it's half empty, right? No, it could be seen as half full. People who are going to judge people negatively. There are some people, and it's terrible. They suffer from that. Can you imagine living with someone who sees all the details of what's going wrong in your life? Yes, but it's terrible. Even for the person who lives with them, it's terrible because it's always a problem and it's never perfect and it's never good enough. But even for that person, because he's miserable, he's never satisfied, right? And I say he, but it could be a she. She or he is never satisfied, right? So she has to learn to dan lekav zechut, to judge the other one favorably, to see the good in everything. But it's very difficult for this type of person. And it drains them. Why? Because they only spend their time, their day looking at, here, there, and you did that like that. And they live a nightmare because they live in darkness. When everybody else sees light, they only see darkness. So this is also a damaging pattern, okay? So, so that's very interesting to understand that dam Dam, the first plague, is about the chayut, the living strength, the force that is inside of us, right? And what happened during the first plague is that all the water turned into blood. Besides for Jewish people, besides for those Jewish people, Ivrim, okay? Besides for those who believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who wanted to change, right? Those who had emunah and who wanted to change. So if you want to change, this is going to be released. Like you are going to be able maybe to see this pattern in you. And because you are aware of that, then it's going to be able, you're going to be able to implement a change. Okay. Oh yeah. One thing that Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sachs says, he says something beautiful. He says in Judaism, actions are more important than beliefs, right? Actions are more important than beliefs. So now that we know that we are anxious, or we know that we are seeing everything negatively, or that we get nervous or whatever, or angry or whatever. Now we have to take actions, right? It's not good enough to say, I want to eat kosher. No, you have to eat kosher, right? Actions are more important than beliefs. What you do is what creates your reality. So now, what do you want to do in order to get rid of that makkah? Because it is a makkah, it is a plague, honestly, like to have this type of patterns that drain your energy, your chayut, right? So that's the first step towards going out of Egypt. Second step, second makkah, the frogs. Okay. So can someone wants to describe how the frogs arrived?
Every time they would hit one, it would.
Exactly. So Aaron spread his staff on the Nile, over the Nile like that, and suddenly a huge amount of frogs started. And what do you do when you see, like, for instance, right now, I don't know, like last week we had a big challah bake in my house outside, and I left the door open and a lot of mosquitoes came in. And now with my kids and my husband, we're like, we're trying to kill all the mosquitoes that are in the house. When you have a lot of frogs in front of you like that, what did they do to avoid them? They were everywhere. They were in the oven, they were in the kneading machine, they were everywhere. What would they do? They would hit them, right? Like you want to crush a mosquito, they wanted to hit them. Every time they would hit them, what would happen, Natasha?
They would reproduce.
Multiply. So imagine, okay? So this is very interesting. It symbolizes the distraction and clutter in our lives, right? The distraction. So now I want to tell you something. I have the zechut to have some of my kids who have issues with focusing. And I think I also have somehow like an issue with focusing. But today I feel like half of the population has an issue with focusing. Why? Because we live in a world where we are distracted by everything. We are so distracted. It's so difficult. Hi. So you want to come with me here? And we're going to do the D'accord, mon amour. Là, je suis en train de faire le cours. D'accord. Alors, je vais venir après, mais je termine d'abord le cours. D'accord? You can take a book in the meantime if you want. You can even sit with me. And I finish the class and then we'll do. Okay?
Tu peux venir sur le bureau si tu veux.
Yeah, if you want to go to... You want? Okay. So distraction. Why is it so important to realize that many things can distract us? Not only like when we try to do something, to pray, you try to pray, you decide to pray, and suddenly as you open your siddur, the shopping list is coming down in your mind and you're like, why? Why now? Okay,
Sure.
why? You don't know, like you try the Yetzer Hara, exactly, but you try to do something like, okay, now I'm going to start, like I'm going to go visit someone who's sick. And then suddenly like you have your phone that rings and you start, thank you, my love. And you start speaking with a friend and then you forgot what you were supposed to be doing, okay? Distraction is something that also takes you away from your destination, from your objective in life. So if we want to change, we have to make sure to think about what could be a distraction and plan accordingly. For instance, distraction is not only the phone, is not only the Yetzer Hara inside of us, but it could also be like people who are going to take you away from your objective, right? They're going to distract you from what you are supposed to. For instance, I'm going to give you an example. One of my best friends in Paris, she smokes since she is 13 years old. And she tried, oh my God, I don't know how many times to stop smoking. And the problem is that every morning after dropping off her kids to school, she goes and drink a coffee with her friends and they all smoke. So it's impossible to get rid of that. Why? Because she's distracted. She's attracted to something else. What is being distracted? It means that you're attracted to another path. You're not going to reach your destination. So we have to think, what can drive me away from my goal? Sometimes it's people, sometimes it's environment, sometimes it's a lack of discipline, right? For instance, I want to resume working out every day, but I'm going to bed very late every night. It's going to distract me. It's going to take my, it's just an example. So it's going to take me away from my destination because obviously if I go to bed at midnight every night, even for good reasons, even because I go to a class, a shiur tonight, a Sheba Brachot tomorrow and this and that. But if my goal is really to regain a good health, to maintain a healthy back, okay, I have to know what I want to do and not let me distracted by other things. I'm so sorry, but I cannot attend this, or I have to leave at 9:30 because I need to be at 10 in my bed in order to start working out at 5. I can also find another time to work out. That's another thing. But just make sure to think about what can be the distraction, what can take you away from your objective, and try to plan accordingly. These are the frogs. And then we have lice. Discuss. Okay. So what is lice? Lice doesn't really create a huge pain. Life is just a small irritation, something annoying, right? Something annoying could be like a negative thought or just something that we know is going to be bothering us, right? So for instance, if it's a negative thought,
But it's something constant, no?
yeah, something constant that we want. Oh, I think. Sorry, but in that.
Elle est américaine, donc t'es fatiguée, hein? On dirait que t'es fatiguée. C'est pas fatiguée? Si, oui, non. À magie.
Yeah, come. So yeah, so it is something that is difficult to get rid of also. It's a bad habit. So it could be also a pattern of thoughts, like for instance, you know that little voice that tells you, come on, you're never going to do it. You can't do it. You're not strong enough. You're not good enough. you're not, I don't know, like smart enough.
You're not tall enough.
You're not tall enough. Whatever it is that your head is going to remind you in order to make you drop your objective. So this is also lies. Here, Rabbi Avram Twersky says, anger is like fire. It can either destroy or illuminate. So anger and bad thoughts or things that could be positive in certain moments, because anger, for instance, is also something good. Hashem created it in order to defend our territory. Anger is the emotion that enables us to defend our boundaries, right? But people who have too much ego, yeah, Neshama.
Oh.
I know, broken.
Bitch.
No, we can leave it inside.
Should we put it here?
Wait. So that pattern of someone who is going to be angry easily, though, right? Someone who starts screaming for almost nothing. This is an issue, and that is also can take him away from his objective. So all those thoughts that we have that are lowering your self-esteem, or those things that we heard as kids, and we think this is really who I am, right? Like, oh, you can never speak, like you're too shy, or oh, you will never make it, you're too silly. Oh, this one, like she doesn't know how to bake a cake, or she will never get married because she's not beautiful enough, not like her sister. Her sister is beautiful, but her, okay. People say that, and this is their own. Some parents say that, or some educators or people who are important in the life of a child say that sometimes, and this is their own responsibility. But we can choose to get rid of that at one point in our lives, and to choose differently, and to speak to ourselves differently, and to re-implement, reprogram our brain to speak differently. Even if, thank you, my love, even if, no, I don't want to use that. Even if I heard that, I can decide from now on that I'm going to tell myself that I'm worthy. I am smart. And I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I am beautiful, and Hashem loves me. And I will get married because Hashem has a wonderful chatan waiting for me. Okay? We can decide to reprogram our mind. Sarah Simcha, je pense que t'as mangé assez de bonbons. To reprogram our mind in order to eliminate those negative thoughts or emotions that make us like go away from, leave our path and miss our objective. Okay? Now we have the fourth Makkah, that is the wild beasts, right? So these wild beasts is what we have deep inside and what we really fear, or what makes us doubt, right? Doubts and fears are the worst enemies to change. Because in order to change, we really have to be able to first make that decision. We said it before we start that class. If we want to be part of those 20% of people who are able to change, we have to believe in it. We have to want it. We have to want to leave the previous situation, right? So those fears are always going to, just like a wild beast, roar inside and make you doubt. Oh, did I do the right decision? Am I able to do that? Okay. So we have to find a way to overcome those fears and to understand where they come from. Sometimes it's the fear, many times it will be linked to attachment, right? As a child, the first thing that will drive us is our desire to be loved. from the moment a child is born, and I think until the neshama leaves that body, we just want to be loved. And the way we are going to perceive the world, the first 3 years of our life, is through the connection with our parents. It's called the theory of attachment. Theory of attachment that we see also in the Torah, that is very well described in the Torah, and how it is so important to create a healthy relationship of love and attachment, of bonding, because it's going to feel the heart of the child and prevent those roaring, those inner fears. Because sometimes, like we say, there is no such thing as bad people. There's only people who suffer. And it's true. Many of the people who made the wrong choices, and I want to say something that maybe shouldn't, I hope it's not going to be misinterpreted, but I was listening to an interview on I-24, which is a French-Israeli news TV, of a woman, a Syrian Lebanese woman, Muslim, who recently arrived in Israel to show support to the people of Israel. And she said something that was very interesting to hear. She said she grew up in Lebanon hating Jews. Why? Yeah, hating Jews. Why? Because she was taught as a little girl that all the problems that they suffered from was because of Israel and because of the Jews. And she grew up with that reality. That's what she thought was true. And she even tells stories that, like, there were like little stories for kids, right? Where they were saying, like, Jewish people will kidnap you, will kill you, will do this to you, da, da, da. So she grew up with a fear of Jewish people. And she studied in a university in Lebanon, and then she had an opportunity to do some research in another university in France and in Strasbourg. So she goes for 6 months in I don't know if it was an internship or a study, I don't remember, but anyway, she ends up in Strasbourg. And when she's over there, the first Saturday that she is in Strasbourg, she goes out and she sees Jews, and she starts freaking out, but really literally freaking out. She starts like crying, like having a panic attack. She says, my goodness, like they're going to kill me. Oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive? And she called her parents, like she was crying. She was so scared, right? Because she saw Jews in the streets. Now, they didn't touch her. They didn't even maybe notice her. And then the following weekend, she saw them again. She saw that they were not paying attention to her. So she was surprised. And then in her, I don't remember if it was internship or university, she met Jews. She made a friend. She didn't know that she was Jewish at first. And then she spoke to that person and she discovered that she was a Jew. And she told her, listen, like, are you the only one like that? So she said, what do you mean? You know that I'm Syrian Lebanese and you speak to me and you don't want to kill me? She says, why would I want to kill you? And she says, because that's what I've been taught all my life. And then she realized that she had been brainwashed. And she realized that not only the Jews never wanted to kill her, but that it is the opposite of what she was taught. It is a people, a nation of kindness, of light, and that they have compassion and many things, and that there's no threat. They are not threatening to kill anyone specifically, like unless they are in a need to defend themselves, which is different, right? So she decided to speak and to be a spokesperson in order to tell the Arab world that what they've been told is wrong. So I wrote down a message to that woman because she was tagged on Instagram. So I wrote her a message, and I told her honestly, like, I'm so thankful for your braveness. I don't know if we say braveness, for your courage, because I can only imagine the type of life she's going to live now, right? But and I told her other things, and she said, like, this is, thank you so much. This is why I live for from now on. This is my purpose in life. And because she said, like, it's not possible to make people live in darkness and make people live in, how can we hope for peace if we create a hatred that doesn't exist? Okay, so anyways, this is the beast, the wild beast, right? The fear, the inner fear that doesn't exist, but this is how we were brought up. This is the reality we shaped, either because we wanted to be loved or because we needed to protect ourselves, right? In both ways, we created inner fears, and we are not aware of them, but the idea is to try to be more aware of them in order to be able to get rid of them, right? So the rabbi, the Admor of Kotsk says, fear is the opposite of faith. So it's very important to realize that when we fear something, it means that we don't have emunat b'Hashem. So that we don't really trust, right? Of course, there are some fears that are very important. We said that earlier, but it's also important to think, I need to work on my personal fears and to try to understand where they come from, even if we have to work with a therapist or with a coach or with our parents sometimes, or just with ourselves, and release, like there's a beautiful way to release things that we hold on for so long is to write letters to those, to yourself, when you were younger, to your parents, even like you're never going to send it to them, but it doesn't matter. The fact that you're going to write a letter to your parents, that is going to let your emotion heal. Okay, then we have pestilence. Okay, pestilence is the destructive behavior or toxic relationship. Okay, what type of toxic relationship can we have?
Relationship that drags you down, that doesn't allow you to be a better person, to I don't know, someone that's going to drag you down. This is toxic.
This is
Basically.
someone who's going to drag you down. Sometimes recently, like, it's very popular to speak about the pervert, the narcissistic person, right? It is definitely, not everybody is a narcissistic person, but there are, and they are very toxic personalities. But it could also be a person who's over controlling for other reasons. She's not a pervert, she's not a narcissist, but she's a controlling mother. And as Jewish moms, there are some moms who are controlling mothers. And sometimes it is toxic to the children. It creates issues either in their couples or within themselves, by creating fears sometimes, or dependence, or any type of toxicity. Okay. Yeah, it's important to understand that even from those relationships, we can decide to break free. We're not speaking about abusive marriage, but it happens. And when we're speaking about abusive marriage, we're not speaking about, but also words, right? Some people don't realize, and it's not only in marriage, it's also at home with your kids, with yourself, with your spouse also, but the way we speak to someone can also be abusive, can also be toxic. Anything that doesn't allow you to be the good you, that to reveal the light that you have inside. And is something that you can ask yourself. Am I in a relationship that is toxic for me? Okay. Rav Shimon Jacobson says freedom is the ability to decide how to respond to any given situation. There are situations that we consider toxic. Even like sometimes you put your kid in a school and you feel like it's the best school, like, and sometimes you don't even have a choice, like this is the only school that corresponds to your level of Yiddishkeit, of Judaism, or whatever, and you put all your kids in one school. But not every school is good for every kid. And sometimes a school could be toxic to one type of kid. What do you do then? How can you work with the school in order to maybe create a little bit more flexibility in order for your son or for your daughter, and not to see that system, which is inflexible, as his connection to God, because it could also be toxic, like, and it happens. So that's also something we have to understand, how to teach also our kids or ourselves to work within a frame. Okay, there is this system, it's there. There is this situation, it's there. Now, I can also make good choices within this situation. I have that freedom. In the time of the Holocaust, I remember many examples of people who would say, they took away my dignity, they took away my humanity, they took away my ability to eat, to take care of myself, but they didn't take away my freedom of choice, of thoughts, right? Within a certain situation, a certain frame, a certain environment, even if that environment is not the perfect one for me, I can still decide to make the choice, and I am still free within that perimeter
To
think what I want to think, or to find some way to be happy with what I have, right? Then the sixth Makkah, boils. So boils is our emotional wounds and baggage. Those wounds are things that we hold onto. And usually those wounds, if there was no trauma, could show up around 35, 40, when we started holding on for so long that now it feels very heavy. Maybe those wounds didn't hurt for 10 years, 15 years, but because you held them in this emotional jar for some time, with time, like if, for instance, they tell me, okay, Esther, just hold it like that, 5 minutes, it's fine, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's the same weight, but because I've been holding it for so long, it's heavy. So with time, if we didn't pay attention to our emotional wounds, we might feel that they are draining us, that they are taking away, that they are distracting us from our destination. So that's also something we should be working on. And Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz said, healing is a matter of time. But not healing is also a matter of time. Healing is a matter of time, but it is sometimes also a matter of opportunity. We have to create that opportunity. We know that we have a one that is there, that's been there for so long. Something happened, and maybe it wasn't that bad when I was 15 years old, but today it hurts very bad, right? We said it's heavy because I've held onto it for so long. Now I have to create the opportunity to heal. How do I create the opportunity to heal? First, by acknowledging that wound. Second, by making the choice to treat it. Go find the right person. You don't know where to go. Find a mashpia, find a mentor who will help you, a Rav, who will help you find the right person. There are many people who help release emotions, whether physically, kinesiology, somatic therapy. There's a lot of different ways to release those emotions and to let go of those moments and to start healing, really. Okay, so that's also very, very important. Then hail can represent harsh circumstances. So what do we do in front of adversity? Adversity can break you or can make you. It all depends how resilient we are when we face adversity. And sometimes it also takes time. We have to understand that being resilient is not going to happen the next day. It takes time to build resilience. You know, resilience many times is linked to mourning, right? When there is someone who lives, when there is a death in the family, God forbid, anything like that, then we speak about the process of avlut. It is a process. It takes time. There is a cycle that we have to respect in mourning. And then we can decide to make it the end or to make it a new beginning. Adversity can make you or can break you. It's also in our hands. It's also a choice. Then locust are the overwhelming desires or addictions, right? The locusts, remember, that come and eat everything. It's passion, it's addiction, it's something you cannot resist, right? So how do we deal with that? Yeah, throw it. Stop holding on to it. You're not ready yet. So this is going to be something that we have to work on because it creates impulsive reaction. Whatever is overwhelming desires, whether it is linked to food, to a type of addiction, to a drug, to a connection, to a bad habit, right? It is something that creates an impulsion. And an impulsion is a contrary of a constructed, of a built reflection. It's something you don't think, you just act. And then you're like, oh, why? Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Right? So you know that there is the 12 steps to healing for addiction. It was created, this therapy of the 12 steps was created by the researchers and therapists of Anonymous Alcoholic? AA. But actually, it's also a 12 step that we find in the Torah. And it's very interesting. If you're interested in that, take a look at Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson. He has an amazing shiur available on YouTube or yeshiva.net about the 12 steps and the Torah, like how to get rid of addictions and the Torah. It's very, very interesting. Anyways, so that's also to understand that self-control is a strength. Calmness is a mastery. That's from Rabbi Abraham Twersky. So it's very important to regain control of ourselves over those addictions or those impulsions. Then comes the 9th plague, chosher, darkness. What is darkness? Darkness is either ignorance or lack of self-awareness. We're speaking of self-awareness. We're speaking of ignorance about oneself. So many people go through life without getting to know who they really are. Who are you? Well, my name is so-and-so. I work as da-da-da-da. But who are you really? You're not just
A teacher or coach.
Exactly. What do you want? What do you like? Why did you came in this world for? Who are you? Who is your neshama? What is your mission in life? Getting to know oneself. This is so important. You know, when we connect, when we do a shidur, when we are meeting or dating our husband for the first time, or the one who is going to be the husband at one point, we want to know who he is. But what do you like? What makes you feel happy? What calms you? What makes you sad? And what about you? Yourself. Do you know yourself as well as you know your husband? And sometimes, no, we don't know ourselves. So making that time to get to know oneself, to be self-aware, is so important. What do I want? And when I say Ani, I'm referring to the neshama. Ani and Ein, like the Ein Sof, are the same letters, right? Ani, the neshama. What does my neshama want? Do I leave her even like a space to speak? Do I listen to her sometime? What does she want to tell me? Yeah. Rabbi Hillel HaZaken would say, and we learned that in the Pirkei Avot, if I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? It is important to be self-aware and not to stop there. If I'm only for myself, who am I? We are not people who are turned only on oneself. So obviously, like, make the time to know yourself and then go for your mission. And your mission is to light up the world, is not to light up yourself, right? And this is a submission from a larger picture. The larger picture is the mission of Am Yisrael, to be an Or LaGoyim, to be a light to the nation. But we have to be first a light to ourselves, a light to our husband, a light to our kids, a light to our family, to our community, and enlarge and mix up this light with the light that are around you. And this is how we become an Or LaGoyim, a light to the nation, a light to the nation. And then comes the Maka Bechorot, the last one. This is the ultimate transformation. This is the death of old limiting patterns to make room for new growth and possibilities. Rabbi Nachman Mibretzlev says every person must know that he or she is an eternal being. Why are we an eternal being? Because we are a chelek Elokam Mimal Mamash. We are a part of Hashem. We are a part of eternity inside of this body. Therefore, we are an eternal being. Wow! Forget about the old you. Embrace the new you. This is the firstborn, refers to you as you were firstborn, but now you are rebirthing through that process of change. Okay? So this is how Parashot Va'era and Bo teach us to change, to achieve personal development, to get out of that personal Egypt that we created. Remember, we said that at the very beginning? So to wrap up, I would like to quote again Lord Rabbi Sachs, who said, to be a Jew means to be an agent of hope in a world serially threatened by despair. It's very interesting to understand that we are the carrier of that message in the world. And it's funny that we chose Hatikva to be the national anthem for Eretz Israel, because this is a message that we have always been carrying, always been conveying to the world. There is hope. There is hope. There is a better tomorrow. But for that better tomorrow to happen, we have to create that space for change. Okay, would you like to comment, to ask questions, to bring like some of your personal experience or share your thoughts about that class today?
From what I understood, the neshama, you have to feed her the way you feed your body. So what you feed your neshama with is with whatever she needs to be satisfied, right?
What is it that you feed her with?
So for everyone is different. Let's say for myself, I'm addicted to a few things that it's very hard for me to get over. Okay, so I have a few things that I really need to work on. This is what my neshama needs to be fed on. The stronger the addiction or the stuff that is hard for me to overpass, this is my mission.
I just want to make sure I understood. So you said like you want to feed your neshama, and your neshama is fed by your fight against those addiction, right? So now
Not the addiction stuff that I have
At
a hard time
dealing with,
dealing with. Yeah, let's say I'm super angry all the time. The more I work on that, the calmer my neshama is.
okay, so I want to suggest something. What if the nutrient, the food for the neshama is Torah? Just like your body cannot live without water, your neshama cannot live without Torah. And with the connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? Because we said it is a part of Hashem. The same way, if you don't plug your phone to a charger, it will die. The same way, the neshama will just shut down, right? But what you said is very interesting, because the mission of your neshama is to overcome those tendencies. This is, I think, the mission of your neshama, the way it expresses itself in this world. And it shows a body that is very sensitive to things, enough sensitive to be easily addicted to it or easily attracted to it. And this is how it's going to repair itself. How? By trying to master and to channel your body and train your body not to be that sensitive to those things that attract you so much. But how are you going to manage to do that? By feeding your neshama with connection with Hashem and Torah. Because this is what enables your neshama to have a stronger voice. And because she has a stronger voice, then you're going to be able to master better your body. You will have better control over your body.
Well, the more you connect with Hashem, the easier it gets because it helps you.
Exactly.
The less you connect, the harder it is.
True.
Yeah, well,
Thank you for sharing, Rebecca. Sarah Simcha, you want to share something?
she's happy.
You're happy? You're coloring?
I want to show you something, maybe you can reach everybody. It reminds me what you said about things that I usually tell my kids.
Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Very interesting. Very interesting. And you know what? It also reminds me the class that we did two weeks ago on becoming royalty. If you want to watch it, it's on YouTube. I'll share it with you. But thoughts, words, actions relate to Moach, okay, so to the three type of the three levels of neshama, right? It's nefesh, ruach, neshama, right? And the neshama is located in the moach. The ruach is located in the lev, and the nefesh is located in the kaved, right? Yeah, in the liver. So how do you become free? When your thoughts watch over your heart. It means like your words, what you're gonna say, and what you're gonna say is gonna become your action. Mem, lamed, chaf, melech.
Nice.
Right? So very,
Incroyable.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when you are a melech, you're not an aved. When you're an aved, a slave, you are an aved to your habits. So it's very interesting. Yeah, exactly.
C'est les Benz. C'est Benz dans les
I don't know how we're going to go to school tomorrow morning. Headbands, you're right. Thank God for the headbands.
Are you gonna wake up for school tomorrow?
Leah, you want to share something?
It's a really interesting shoe.
Okay, thank you for coming. Cynthia, you want to share something? Personal experience or anything? Manu, Magali, Ruti?
No, I was saying that when you become the positive, first convince, second left, and more. You are just the opposite.
Exactly.
If you see something, I want this, and after I will realize that it's not good for me, and I get a mail. I think yeah.
That's true.
So
Actually, in Parashat Bo, we see that Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Bo le paro ki ani irbadti et libo. I think something like that. I go to Pharaoh, right? Because I hardened his heart. Irbadti, his heart. And it's very funny because we say it hardened his heart, but irbadti has exactly the same shorash root as kaved, right? I made his heart work as a kaved. So I made his heart work as a liver. So the heart of Pharaoh is never going to give in because it works as a, yeah, I know myself. When is it going to start? Because it works as a liver, and the liver takes action, but doesn't work properly, doesn't make, and it works as a lev, which is kelev. It works as a lev, just like a lev, right? And the kelev is also a dog, but a dog is the one who obeys his master without any, so it is a form of, I have to,
The Torah is, I mean, everything, the more
Everything.
you learn and the more you're like, what?
yeah,
Seriously?
yeah, sure.
So at the end, when you were saying that we need to know who we are to let the world, but don't you think it's coming after a certain age? Like you cannot ask someone 15 years old.
Who are you?
45 years old.
Of course.
Weak at 15, like you don't know.
So it's
Like,
true, you don't know
come with
who.
experience basically, and whatever hit you in life that build you and shape you.
I agree with you. The thing is that at 15 years old, you are only going to have a certain perspective on who you are. And it's okay because that's how we were built. you only see the potential that you already revealed, but there's so much to come, right? But some people, for instance, look, Rabbi Nachman, he was niftar in his 30s, right? Imagine he revealed his teachings from his 20 and up. So probably he knew he had already a very good understanding of who he had the potential to be. And I think, are you familiar with the Yanuka? Yes, he's a very big Rav, very young. That's why he's called the Yanuka, because he was very, very young and very big tzaddik, very young. But there are some stories who show like he has a self-awareness of his potential and his kedusha at such an early age. Of course, it's not given to everyone, but it is possible also. But definitely, you're right. For most people, you cannot envision the potential that you have inside of you before you reveal it. How can you envision it before you reveal it? But sometimes you can feel that you have the strength to do something. But you're right, it comes with adversity, right?
Also, the best of like speaking, I don't know what people is like this. Yeah, and you know yourself when you confront to something and situation.
It's true.
Like you see yourself reacting to something, then you say, "Oh, I'm too this, I'm too angry, I'm too happy, I'm too this, I'm." How you cannot know, I believe, yourself till you're married, till you're a mother, till you get fired once in your, you understand?
So you could know yourself, but as we said, like like just a fraction of yourself, because the rest is not yet to be seen. You need maybe like to grow in age and to go through different situations in order to see what type of resources or talents Hashem gave you. You have no idea. How can you know if you have for instance, like the midah of savlanut, if you have of patience, if you have never been in a situation where you have to wait? How can you know if you're brave? If you're, but those are just qualities and traits of character. This is not you. What you know, and what we should all know, and Sarah Simcha, you should know that you are a neshama. And many times I call my kids neshama. Neshama, how are you, neshama? Why? Because I think they should know. Because I think it's very important for you to know that you are a neshama.
Eitan?
Yeah. Eitan also is a neshama. Everybody.
Especially.
Yeah. It is so important. So that you know, that you have the ability to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is inside of you. And that you, when you say you, it's not all the traits of character, all the talents, all the resources that you have, but you are a neshama, a chelek Elokam imal. That you can know from the most early age. And it gives you a lot of self-esteem, actually, because imagine if we all knew as we grew up that we are a part of Hashem. Wow, I am a part of the King of the Kings. The way I look at myself in the mirror is not the same. Even when people tend to tell me things that hurt me or try to drag me down, I can stand up and I can say, listen, it's true. They say that about me, but I know who I am. It's not easy, but if we implement that at an early age, we can be aware of who we truly are. I am not what my action do not define me. I am a neshama. And the people around me are neshamot. That also I should remind myself that when I treat someone, I should treat him with respect. He is a neshama. She is a neshama. And when I say, I remember growing up in France, people would very easily say, oh, you're stupid. How did you break that? No. Breaking a glass because you were trying to do the dishes to help your teacher or whatever doesn't make you stupid. You're not stupid. This is not a label that you put on your head. I'm stupid. I broke a glass. I'm stupid. I didn't manage to do my math test, to pass my math test. Okay. I am not stupid. I am a neshama. I am eternal. I'm a light. I'm a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I did something stupid. I'm clumsy. And I made the wrong choice sometimes. But I am not that. And the way we define our kids, like, you are a liar. No, you are not a liar. Because then I tell him, this is you. No, this is not you. You're much better than this. You said some lies. You can make other choices, better choices. Because if you do that, if you say that, if you choose to say lies, these are the consequences.
Her actions do have a consequence because
Yes.
it stains the neshama.
Totally. But you have the teshuvah
Okay, but
and Yom Kippur
bon,
and suffering.
oui, mais attention. Mais attention. If you do something wrong, knowing that you can do teshuvah,
No, that's not valid.
it's not valid.
Exactly.
So.
Then you have to work
so
on your
actions-
yitzhak. Actions are important. They don't define who you are. That's the difference. And you are a wounded neshama, but you're still a neshama. You understand? Voilà.
And she.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.